Hello and welcome to an all-new episode of Anime Brain Freeze. We are your heartily spooky hosts.
I am John.
And I'm CC, and this is the show where we review all the anime series from the previous season we did and didn't watch start to finish. Today we got a colorful mix of shows for you, none of them Halloween related. We are sorry, maybe in the future we will be able to do a Halloween special, but we have so many shows to cover this season that there's really no wiggle room for something like that at the moment. So instead, we will be discussing the trashy action fest Taboo Tattoo, the overload of cuteness that is sweetness and lightning, and the newest entry in the Macross franchise, Macross Delta. But first, as always, let's talk about some news.
I get the picture. They try to hit you. They try to kick you when you're down and out.
Alright, so the news canon isn't as fully loaded as it normally is, but we got some things to talk about. I am also cribbing the term news canon very heavily from a Video Gamer UK podcast, because that's how they always refer to it.
Okay. Sure,
yeah.
Why not?
The first thing was, I guess, there's a live-action adaptation of Saki in the works, and there's a whole bunch of photos of the cast in costume.
Mm-hmm. I am not familiar with Saki. I haven't seen the anime or anything, so fill me in on what it's about, maybe?
It's about mahjong.
Oh, no. Okay, I'm out.
The manga has been going since the dawn of time. No, just kidding, since 2006. And it's had about 3 or 4 different anime adaptations now, just because the story seems to move at a very belabored pace.
Well, just like the game, I imagine.
No, but you don't understand. In the story, it's exciting because it's mahjong. Oh. I honestly don't know how to play mahjong, but a mutual friend of ours was like, "Hey, check this out," and I was like, "Okay, all right." And I just sort of got into it, and with the wisdom of years, I understand now why it is he was initially into Saki.
Okay,
and that reason can be summed up with 2 words: Amiko Shimizu, his favorite voice actress, essentially.
That makes a lot of sense, yes. So she was voicing the main character, or?
Not the main character, but one of, the main cast. Obviously you would think a show called Saki is about a character named Saki, and yes.
I'd say that's one of the one of the franchises that's probably easy to adapt, just in terms of, not much special effects needed in that one.
Well, considering, they tend to portray a lot of the characters as being being able to play mahjong on this next level thing, and I have this power, I can anticipate 4 moves in advance. It's oh, okay, sure. Oh,
okay, so it's shonen anime powered. It's
kinda I like Saki, but it gets a little bit out there.
I mean that. I like it when shows do it like that. Make a very basic thing super dramatic. I like it when sports anime do that. When they go over the top with everything and get super anime about it. Kuroko's Basketball did that to an extent where, the characters basically had super moves, and Yowamushi Pedal did that too. And I guess you can do that for game anime, board game anime as well. So I don't know. I guess Saki is venturing in that direction too, judging from your comments. There are at least special moves or something like that.
Yeah, it is what it is. I mean, if it is available through some official channel, I might give it a look, but we'll see.
All right.
Because I think it's supposed to start with, they say, December. Yeah.
Okay. Oh wait,
right.
Is it a TV show? I thought it was. It's going to be a movie.
The live-action project will consist of a live-action series and a film. The series will consist of 4 episodes as well as a television, quote, special, unquote. The series will premiere on MBS December 4th, blah, 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 blah. Yes.
Okay.
And the film will open in January.
But yeah, like I said, not seeing that many live-action adaptations of anime and anime TV series and everything. But yeah, this is not probably not gonna be one of them I will check out. So anyway, but yeah, please, if you're interested in the anime, if you like Saki, why not check out the live-action adaptation? I guess it's coming. What else do we have?
In another sort of weird adaptation that seems to be sort of a thing. In Japan, there is a smartphone game called Ghoul Girl Strikers. It's made and published by Square Enix. It's getting an anime.
Okay.
Does
the game have a story that's worth mentioning? I wouldn't assume so if it's a smartphone game, actually. So,
a website opened on Monday to announce that School Girl Strikers, jeez, that's a tongue twister for me, animation channel, a television and anime adaptation of Square Enix's smartphone, quote, light novel style RPG, unquote, app has been greenlit. About the only thing that it seems like it has going for it is that it's got one of the people who worked on Index and Azumanga Daioh on board.
Oh, okay. Well, that are not bad credits, I would say.
Yeah,
it is shows, so maybe something good will come out of this.
Yeah, the director Hiroshi Nishikiori.
Who's writing it though?
Yuichi Tanaka. No, that's illustrations. Wait, Takao Yoshioka is supervising the series scripts. The Testament of Sister New Devil. Sekirei, High School DD.
Okay.
Maybe I should jump ship already.
Seems like sound advice.
There's an audience for those shows, but sometimes you just kind of put the brakes on the fan service a little bit.
Hey, sometimes you get a lucky break or something, or you just manage to craft a diamond out of a pile of shit, as we will see with the show I review later and its credits and the people behind it. So I don't know, maybe he'll. There will be something good coming out of it. Good director and everything is one step in the right direction, but and with it being a smartphone game and that writer, and we'll see. I don't have high hopes or everything or anything.
Actually, to his credit, it looks like he has worked on some good things, like Watamote.
Well, there you go. I mean, that's based on manga,
the latest,
but still.
And the latest adaptation of Working.
Okay.
So okay, all right. We don't have to be quite so precautious.
Yeah, we'll wait for the first episode of the anime for the final judgment. I think.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I talking about something that's maybe a bit more promising, and I finally found out what news I wanted to talk about because I couldn't remember for the love of God what it was, but now I do. I don't know why I skipped over it and scrolling down the timeline just a few moments ago. But there's going to be an animated movie of the Klonoa franchise from Bandai Namco.
You know what's funny is that was the next story I actually picked.
There you go. I actually haven't played any of the Klonoa games, but I think it's a cute character. I've watched someone play through, I think it was the second game. Was it the one on Wii?
I think I played the Wii version, but I didn't play any of the other ones.
Yeah, I think I saw someone play through the remake of the first game on the Wii. Door to Phantomil, what it was called.
Mm.
Yeah, like I said, cute character. I don't know much about the story, but I'd like to know more. What caught my eye was that Hitoshi Ariya, the guy behind the Megamax and Gigamix series, and apparently the Big O manga, which I didn't know, like he's writing and co-producing and designing the characters and everything, and that's pretty cool because I like his style. I like the Megamix and Gigamix series quite a lot, and that's actually getting me kind of hyped for the movie.
Yes, I mean, like I said, I don't have a huge investment in Klonoa, but
Yeah.
maybe we'll check it out.
Yeah, it could become something interested out of noteworthy is probably that the movie is not gonna be produced in Japan. It's apparently done by a production company, by a United States-based production company called Henshin.
Yeah, they've got some people who used to work at Shifty Look who did a whole bunch of like comic adaptations of old Namco stuff. So
they're not total newbies or anything.
No.
What have they done before exactly? Do you have any?
Like I said, they've done a whole bunch of like different adaptations of comics, or I should say, comic adaptations of old Namco properties. But they also did some like animated shorts of like Bravo Man and Wonder Momo and Mappy, and they were all they were silly and they were fun. So they had fun with the stuff. I
hope the animation quality will be all right. Like I said, this could be quite promising. This could be cool. This could turn out to be a cool movie, and maybe we will get more than one and everything. So yeah, even though I've not played the games, I would like to see a Klonoa movie. Looks interesting. Anything else?
Why not? We got one last silly, dumb thing. So, with the recent craze of VR games, a new contender has entered the ring. Inti creates, your friend and ours who have done, games like Mega Man Zero.
Don't say
Mega Man Zero and Gunvolt. Great games.
Also, Mighty Number 9.
We're not talking about that.
Also. Wait, are they working on Bloodstained? I think so, right?
I believe so.
Yes.
But yes, one of their recently released properties is getting a VR game. Can you guess which one it is?
Probably Galgun. It's Galgun, isn't it?
Galgun VR. Get your headsets ready, everybody.
Get your headsets ready to shoot at girls to make them orgasm or something. Is that how that game works? I think that's how that game works.
Something like that. Honestly, my exposure to the game was like playing way back when the Xbox 360 demo of the first game. So yeah, I was just like, this is gonna be a thing. Cool. All right. I'll invest $500 on a VR headset right now. I actually won't.
Yeah. Well, I wanna dive into the VR world and everything, but that's not the game I would do that for. I'm sorry.
Oh, come on, man.
I'm sorry, Inti. I'm gonna wait for Team Aces and Ace Combat 7 for that. So
come on, man. Oh.
Yeah, Galgun is not gonna do it for me. I mean, it could be fun. I don't know. I haven't played any of the Galgun games. For all I know, they can be super fun and not take themselves seriously or anything. With that premise, why would you? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they are at the core just goofy ass rail shooters. So
yeah, but apparently. Like, I haven't heard anything super offensive about them. It just seems to be dumb fan service, so...
Pretty much.
Whatever, yeah. But, hey, if you're into that, maybe now is the time to get yourself a... Wait, is it coming to PSVR?
I'm assuming, because that's... the original Galgun... Oh, the original Galgun was on 360 and PS3, that's right. But after that, they kind of shifted to be just PlayStation-centric.
Yeah, I wonder how... I think PSVR sold pretty well in Japan, if I'm not mistaken. There were long lines, and people kind of were pining for it, if I'm not mistaken. So,
yeah, I don't know the sales numbers, but
yeah, maybe this will get a few more units sold in Japan. Who knows? Maybe even in the West, but yeah, I wouldn't count on it. But you go, Inti. You do your thing. I mean, as long as you still bring out other games that are, catering more to our interests.
it's either that or Summer Lesson, man.
What the fuck is Summer Lesson?
It's Harada's VR game where you basically talking with a schoolgirl and trying to help her study, and it's like...
Oh, it's a girlfriend simulator.
It might as well be, yes.
Uh-huh. All right. Well, okay, I'd say we leave that trash behind and move to another kind of trash in our trash stash. Okay, first off, the main protagonist and hero of Taboo Tattoo has the name Justice.
Yeah!
Yeah! Okay. Justice Akatsuka, to be exact, or Seigi Akatsuka. For those not Japanese-speaking, Seigi means justice, but apparently...
Are you serious?
Yes,
that's fantastic.
Apparently, Justice is his real name, though, and Seigi is his nickname.
What?
So, yeah, I don't...
you would think it's the other way.
Yeah, exactly. And
Japan?
everyone calls him Seigi in the anime, but apparently that's his nickname, because his name is called, is written like Justice, and then quotes Seigi, and then Akatsuka. So, I don't know. But, yeah, that's your main character, people. You probably know already what to expect from a show like that. The last time I, had something like that, it was a character called Sieg Wahrheit, or Sieg Wahrheit, in a PS2 game called Chaos Legion.
Oh, boy.
Which is German and basically means victory truth. So there you go. Yes. So this is basically the same thing. Anyway. So that dude, who has the most bland haircut and outfit for an anime hero ever, it's like, I saw him like, well, there's a shitty character design. Holy fuck. Anyway, he saves an old homeless man on the street from thugs who, I don't know, want to beat him up for some reason. And the old guy wants to show his gratitude to Seigi by imprinting a tattoo on his hand that gives Seigi a supernatural power called Voidmaker, which means he can, for example, basically remove all physical matter from a certain area at will by warping the space-time continuum. Don't ask me how that works and why a tattoo can do that thing. Maybe the show explained it at some point, but it probably was some weird technobabble, and I don't know. I ignored it, shut off my ears or something. Who knows? It doesn't matter. It really doesn't. Trust me. It's not important. Anyway, shortly after this happened, Seigi runs into the American special agent, Bluesy Floozy. Yes, that was your reaction last time. I don't know why. She also has a abbreviated name, and it's Izzy, which I will use from now. I prefer that, although Bluesy Floozy is fantastic. Anyway.
Okay, at least it doesn't make sense, but at least it's a nickname as opposed to, your name in a different language.
Yeah. Anyway, she's trying to convince him to join her group of American agents to fight the evil princess of another country. I forgot the name of that country, but it also doesn't matter really. And her cronies, who all have supernatural tattoos as well, with different powers. And yeah, Seigi is a bit reluctant at first, but then decides to live up to his name and become a hero of great justice. Anyway, yeah, that's the setup for Taboo Tattoo, which was my happy trash anime of last season. I like to watch some shitty, trashy shows once in a while that, I don't know, that I don't need to turn my brain on for and just enjoy for the heck of it. And yeah, that was one of them, and one of the better ones, and I'll tell you why in a moment. But first, let's get the production staff out of the way with an actual JC staff who worked on this. And the most recent one, a show we also reviewed that they worked on, was Flying Witch.
Yep.
And we both enjoyed that greatly. And yeah, the pretty solid stuff, and this time, again, even though the subject matter, they delivered a good product, in my opinion, but for completely different reasons, and I got to that. Anyway, it's based on a manga by Shinjiro, or Shinjiro. Just that name is probably a nickname or a pseudonym or a pen name or something. Anyway, he apparently illustrated the Fate Zero manga. But aside from that, has only written this one, like Taboo Tattoo. And the show is directed by Takashi Watanabe, director of such thought-provoking pieces as Ikitosen or Freezing.
Yeah!
Yeah! There's a pedigree for you.
This episode is only getting better and better.
Yeah. Anyway, well, yeah, that also tells you almost all you need to know about Taboo Tattoo, because he chose to direct a show to his liking, apparently. At least if you look at this other stuff. Although I would rank Taboo Tattoo over those, because this one I actually watched all the way through. The others I couldn't. Anyway, but to be fair, he also directed a lot of other stuff, like, for example, Slayers, which was a very enjoyable show, in my opinion. And he... Yeah?
Looks like he directed the entirety of Shakugan no Shana.
Which I didn't watch, but I heard people liked it, so there you go.
Yeah, I need to get on that eventually. It is on the eternally growing to-watch list.
So there you go. He also directed good stuff, but, you know, just Ikitosen and Freezing just immediately jumped in my face because, like, aha! Maybe this was, I don't know, typecasting from the production company or something. Anyway, he can deliver on the schlock. So it's written by 3 people, apparently. One of them, actually the creator of the manga itself, which I think is pretty rare. He has written 2 episodes himself, apparently. I don't know how often that happens. The actual, you know, manga writers writing the scripts for the anime adaptations. But yeah, that happened. Second one is Masamitsu Otake, who has done only this. So, okay. And the bulk of the episodes were scripted by Mayuri Sekijima, who's written Tenchi stuff. The screenplay to Plastic Little, boy, that's a blast from the past. I haven't seen that OVAs in ages. That was one of the first OVAs I watched back in the day when people were still fawning over Satoshi Oroshihara and his artwork. So, yeah, and that could carry a whole OVA with an incredibly shitty story. But anyway, yeah.
Looks like they also wrote Fibrain, oh.
Fibrain and the Mega Man Battle Network anime.
Oh.
Apparently, the first season. So, yeah, there you go. That's quite a, I don't know, a very varied roster of stuff one wrote.
A storied career.
A storied career. But again, the show that jumped out most at me was a little gem called Cross Ange.
Oh!
And I was like, well, there you go. That also fits very much with this show. So if the credits and the story setup haven't given it away yet, Taboo Tattoo is super trash. There's lots of gore and dismemberment, there's nudity, there's big tits flying everywhere. It's got a pretty nonsensical story. It's all in there. It's got everything you want out of a bad, trashy anime. But it's a stupid B-movie plot and everything. So, yeah. But unlike one of the letdowns of the previous season that kind of ventured in that same territory, at least from its setup and, you know, characters and everything, which was Big Order, which I also reviewed earlier in another episode. Taboo Tattoo pretty much gave me everything I want out of a series like that, which Big Order failed to do for several reasons. And yeah, why Taboo managed to do that? Like I said, the story is a big pile of nonsense, but it holds together enough that you at least kind of know what's going on, and that the writers kind of know where they want to go. So it doesn't feel all like super random, like in Big Order, with so many plot twists thrown at you that you have no idea what is going on anymore after 2 episodes. Also, the cast of characters is not so enormous that you lose track of who is important or anything. So there's a kind of focus there, which is important to me and helps me staying engaged even when I'm watching something incredibly dumb like this. I like it when I don't know, the show feel kind of coherent in a way, or feel like they know where they're going in a way. So like there's some coherence, and Taboo Tattoo had that, not in all aspects of its existence, but at least where it mattered. So yeah. The characters are ridiculous, as they should be, spouting a lot of over-the-top nonsense, a lot of banter, a lot of trash talk during the fights, a lot of, jokey jokes, and, throwing disses at each other and something like that. There's a lot of sexual-flavored trash talk in the fights, which seem pretty unusual to me. Normally... the anime I watch usually don't get as explicit in that regard, but they do in this show for some reason. Very explicit in certain parts. But I don't know. I didn't really mind it. It fits the B-movie feel of the show. And it's not like super gross or anything. Well, it is in parts, but those are the people, dishing out that gross stuff are the bad guys. And, that's why they are the bad guys. And then they get beaten into a pulp, so it's okay.
So it's at least not excessive in amounts, then.
No, not in a way that I would be like, oh god, this is horrible. Like, but there's a lot of death in that show. So yeah, death, murder, blood, violence, everything. So yeah, what helps you over these gross and icky parts is that the show is super self-aware. There's a lot of fourth wall breaking. One guy in the main cast is basically a giant anime nerd who wants to carry his anime girl hug pillow around everywhere. So the show knows which audience it's maybe catering to when, the tits of the girls are on display and everything. So, yeah, one of the main commanders is named Colonel Sanders.
Excellent.
The naming in the show is excellent. It's fantastic. And... one of my favorite jokes, sorry if I'm giving it away now, but I have to mention it. There is a guy who proposes to his girlfriend basically before the final fight of the series, and in the background there are people waving literal death flags. So, yeah, the show knows exactly what it is and has some fun with it, which, like I said, makes the icky stuff a lot more tolerable. It's like, it's winking at you at the same time. Yeah, don't take this too seriously. We are not. This is more... Maybe like the same thing that the Deadpool movie did, where there's also a lot of gross stuff in there and some really some gross out humor and everything. But it's not to be taken seriously, and some of the jokes are actually good, and so they are in Taboo Tattoo, in my opinion. So yeah, I'd say it ventures in that it plays in the same ballpark as maybe as maybe Deadpool did. So there you go. But I think the thing that drew me the most to the show was its action direction. Now, anyone who has been listening to the show for a while knows that I'm not a big fan of CG in anime, but I still think there are certain occasions when CG can bring something valuable to the table if used the right way. And Taboo Tattoo, for the most part, is such an example. The reason for that is that the CG in this show is mostly used for the environments during the fight scenes. And since the camera can be moved around rather freely in those CG environments, there's a lot of dynamic movement during the battles. A lot of circling around the characters, lots of quick zooms, pans, cuts. There's still rough parts here and there, especially if you got kind of a low budget episode and the 2D animation is a bit lacking, or they are trying to match the frame count of the 2D animation with the 3D animation, and the 3D animation gets a bit jaggy here and there. But that actually doesn't happen too often, or not as so often that it got distracting for me. For the most part, the action scenes are like I said, very fast paced. A lot of cuts, but good cuts. A lot of camera movement, and thus very exciting to look at. And the action choreography itself is also really good in the show. I don't know if it was already that good in the storyboard part, or if that could all be attributed to the director. But yeah, really good stuff, really exciting stuff to look at, in my opinion. At least some of the battles. And I think the first one, the first hand-to-hand combat fight in the first episode already clued me in on that and was like, hey, this looks really good. Just in terms of camera movement. This is not something you'd see in every action show. And yeah, there were some battles down the line that made even better use of that. So yeah, definitely enjoyed that. It's not on the level of Tales of Systeria: The Cross when it comes to combining the 3D environments, camera work with 2D characters. I think Tales of Systeria did that better, and also has a much bigger budget. But for what Taboo Tattoo had and could do, I think it worked surprisingly well. So yeah, I like the battles in the show quite a lot. Fun action stuff, definitely. The big exception being the final fight. I don't know what they were thinking with that. It's basically these big kaiju avatars of two of the characters going at it.
Huh.
Yeah, they're like the tattoos have these kind of spirits imbued within them, and first they appear as animal-esque stands, from Joe's Bizarre Adventure, and then later, apparently, they become giant kaiju and fight it out. And I don't know, that scene at the end just looks really weird and hokey, and the animation loops a lot, and it's way too zoomed in. It looks like crap, which is a shame, because until that point the show worked so well in that department. So I don't know what happened there. If someone else directed it, if someone fucked up the storyboards, or if they ran out of money or something. Yeah, maybe they should have tried to end the series on a smaller scale, just in terms of the final confrontation. But that definitely didn't work. So
that's unfortunate.
Yeah, that's kind of a downer. There is a season 2 teaser at the end of the final episode, and the manga is still running. So maybe we get a second season, but I don't know if the show was that big of a success, to make this happen. The creators certainly hoped so, apparently. Otherwise, they wouldn't have put this teaser on the end. And maybe that already means that the second season is in production. I don't know. I enjoyed it. Like I said, it's a dumb, trashy show with lots of gross humor, lots of gross violence, and everything. If you are easily offended by that stuff or don't get any enjoyment out of that at all, stay clear. If you like your, I don't know, 90s B action movies with a lot of violence and gore and stuff like that, maybe check it out. If you like cool action direction and fight scenes, definitely give the first few episodes a watch, because I think the action choreography alone, if you're into action stuff, is interesting enough, because you don't see that much camera movement that often. The show did that really well, in my opinion, at least for the most part, and I think that was also. We'll get to that later, but the camera movement itself was also one that also a thing that worked pretty well for the all CG Berserk show. One of the few things that worked really well. So I wish they would have taken the approach that Taboo Tattoo took and just combined the 2D characters with 3D environments for the fights and everything, because that would have worked better for me, and you can still do the dynamic action and just occasionally get your weird, I wouldn't call it uncanny valley, but your weird hokey movement when camera is panning around a 2D character with 3D environment, and it gets a bit choppy. Yeah, great fight scenes, the characters didn't get on my nerves too much. I mean, there's some assholes in there, and not only on the villain side, and not all of them are actually like maybe one of them is actually not well written, but written. All the other ones are kind of underwritten, and like I said, the plot is super dumb and doesn't make a lick of sense if you try to think about it, which I didn't do at the end anymore. So yeah, don't expect any kind of high art or good writing or anything beyond a trashy B-movie show. That's a weird phrase. A trashy action show. But if you're in the mood for something mindless, action-packed, that is kind of funny and, like I said, well-directed when it comes to the action, give it a try. I enjoyed it. I'll check out the second season if it happens to get my trash fix. And now, please excuse me, I have to get me one of those superpower tattoos.
So I have a question for you as I'm looking over some of the staff credits.
Yeah.
How was the music in this show?
Kind of forgettable, maybe. I mean, there were some cool parts here and there, but it mostly works as background noise, in my opinion. Except for the opening and ending music. I like those quite a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know, in the show itself...
I ask because the name Shinji Hosoe stuck out to me. Because he's done a whole bunch of game soundtracks that I've really enjoyed. One that you might be able to pick out in particular is Mega Man Network Transmission, that GameCube game.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's great. That had great music.
And he's done all sorts of other great stuff, like some of my personal favorites, Genga Force, Under Defeat. So when I saw the name, I was like, oh, maybe the music is good. But since sounds like you're saying it's kind of...
It's not memorable. That's what I mean. It doesn't have like super memorable themes like maybe the soundtrack for My Hero Academia, where you have like very strong emotional scenes connected to the music and or that work really well in conjunction with the specific musical theme that is applied in that scene. So that might also be contributed that, there's not much emotional involvement to be had in Taboo Tattoo. Like, the characters are there, but even though they, like I said, they didn't really get on my nerves, I didn't really connect to them either. So maybe I didn't, pay attention to the super emotional scenes and thus not to the music. And if it worked. But it also wasn't like shitty music. I don't remember it to be like, I don't like this soundtrack. This sounds dumb. Like, for example, I don't like the soundtrack of Days that jumped out to me immediately, where it's like, I hate that theme. I hate that music that's playing right now. So there you go. Not memorable, but also not offensive or anything. So maybe I should maybe listen to the soundtrack again. There's one theme that I remember that I really liked, and that was the music for the next episode preview at the end. And I always wondered if there was like a full song for that, because that was obviously only running until the narration for the preview ended. So I wonder if there's a full song for that, because that sounded pretty cool. I should check out the soundtrack and see if there's a full version of that. But yeah, other than that, not super memorable soundtrack, but also not super bad or anything. All right. I guess that's it for the Trash Stash for today. And now we're gonna have some culinary delights, I believe.
So, we're going to talk about a little bit of a cooking adventure today. Not the one that you have in store later on, I believe.
Yeah, that's going to hit like 2 episodes or something. We'll see.
Because that one's more action-y. This one's a bit more laid back.
A bit more something for the soul. So soul food, so to speak.
We're talking... I'm talking, of course, about Sweetness and Lightning. So the setup for the show is not overly complicated. It's about this single parent, Kohei Inuzuka, and he's trying to take care of his daughter, Tsumugi. After this is, some amount of time after his wife has passed, and it's that's something that they don't hit on it too often, but they let you know, like, hey, this happened. It's sad. Be sad.
Did she have anime mom disease, or did they ever clarify how she died?
She just, passed for one reason or another before the start of the story proper.
Okay, so anime mom disease. All right.
Pretty much. And Kohei works as a math teacher. Mm-hmm. And, he has a busy schedule. He doesn't always have time to really prepare proper meals for Tsumugi. So they usually end up eating, like, convenience store, like, meals or whatnot.
Shitty bentos?
Pretty much. But he one of his students, Kotori Ida, he has talked with her one day, hey, I'd like to, I'm trying to think about how I can, do better, like cooking for my daughter and whatnot. And it turns out that Kotori's mother is like this somewhat locally famous cook who has like her own show on TV. And not all of the skills have been passed down the family tree, but the eagerness to do well is there. So Kotori is like, you know what? I'm gonna help you out and teach you what I can. And the three of them embark on a culinary adventure together, learning, how to cook all manner of things together. And that's, that's the basic setup, really. It's I wouldn't say that it falls into like the category that like Flying Witch did, with the very, Iyashike themes. Mm-hmm. Because these characters do have, their own sorts of problems and their own conflicts. Like, not everything is so very, rosy and happy, because Tsumugi, there's moments where, I miss mommy, that sort of thing, and it punches you in the feels a little bit.
So there's emotional baggage, and obviously, I mean, dead mom.
Yeah, and there's moments where it's like, because it is mainly a story about cooking, it's like, I don't want to eat this, and Kohei has to figure out, how can I keep my daughter happy, but, increase my skill at cooking. So, because there's one of the key points that comes up is she doesn't like peppers, and I don't either. So I'm on the same level as you, kid.
You can relate. That's where the show got you. It's like, aha.
So Kohei tries his best to sort of incorporate bits of that in there, but they sort of come to the concession that it's like, she's not ready. She doesn't want to try it. Okay, all right, let's move on. Let's try some sort of other thing. It's very much sort of a trial and error story for all of the characters involved. And I think it's neat. It's, very, for the most part, is lighthearted story. It has, the emotional things on the side, but they're not constantly at the forefront. So it's something that you can watch and very much enjoy.
So is it like set up like they do a new try a new meal every episode? Is it are they visiting a course to learn something? Are they visiting the mom of the student or something? How are the episodes structured?
When they want to learn to cook something new, it usually ends up that they go to the like little side street restaurant that Kotori's mother owns, and they cook something there. Yeah, they cook all sorts of stuff like gyoza, mochi, different kinds of stews, and I get the feeling that's the sort of thing where you could kind of sort of follow along at home with the general guidelines that the recipes give you.
So it's pretty detailed in showing how they prepare the food.
Yes.
All right. It's not just like, hey, we got these ingredients, and the next frame is like, okay, the food is prepared. How does it taste?
No, they actually show them going through the motions in how each ingredient is prepped, and that sort of thing. So it's really neat. I liked that. I definitely appreciated that because obviously they could take the easy way out and say, "Oh, the food's ready, let's eat," but I feel like they went the extra step, showing how they went from like step 1 to step 3 to step 10.
Mm. But okay, so that's there's a focus there, and in terms of character development, is it like, we prepare food, but also learn to grow together as father and daughter at the same time? You said it's not all sunshine and roses and everything, so they learn to better communicate with each other over the food and everything, and become closer.
Yeah, and I mean, there's certain other things that happen. I don't want to give them just wholesale throw them out the window for everyone to see, because I think that the show does bear watching. So there are things that happen where Kohei and Tsumugi kind of have disagreements, and there was one in particular where it was very much very, very real, if you will.
Okay, so there's drama in there.
Yes.
All right.
But it doesn't linger.
And it doesn't feel forced.
No.
Okay.
I at least didn't feel like it felt forced. Okay. Just because it felt more true to life. Yeah,
sure. I mean, the setup is something that I can't, but a lot of people can probably empathize with. I mean, I think there are enough single dads out there. Maybe not so many watching anime, but that's not an outlandish premise, and it's also a nice one, like a father trying to genuinely care for his daughter, even if it's not the easiest thing, and make life better for her and himself. And yeah, that's cool. I assume there's not like a weird, icky romance angle with the father and his student.
No, and I think a lot of people were hoping it wouldn't go in that direction, and it doesn't.
Whew, that's good.
Because if it did, I probably would have been a bit more about it. But it's just, Kotori comes across as being like, she wants to be like a sister to Tsumugi, and I feel like she sees Kohei like a second father, because her father really isn't talked about or in the picture much during the story of the show. So yeah, they keep it clean, as it were.
So is there like, I don't know, is there a resolution at the end? Is it like wrapped up? Will there be a second season? Is it based on a manga or something?
I believe the manga is still running, and there wasn't really like a sort of like tease or anything for a second season, because there was really not like a huge or any sort of like overarching issue that I felt like needed to be resolved, just because it is a slice of life story.
Yeah, sure. And like that's the nice thing with these kind of shows. Like I mean, you said it's not as slice of lifey and Yashike as Flying Witch, but the nice thing about those kind of shows is like you can be happy with just one season, and that doesn't really come to a huge story conclusion or has a huge storyline running through, and you can just enjoy the episodes for what they are, and the one season for what it is. But I would assume it was the anime was successful enough that, just in terms of making money, there might be a second season coming if the manga is still running and still successful. So I don't know.
Perhaps, I guess we'd probably find out about that later on down the line, I'd imagine.
Anyone from the staff you want to highlight?
Yes, I was going to get to that next. The animation is done by TMS Entertainment, who we probably know best as the Detective Conan and Lupin the Third guys.
Or the people animating one of the best-looking Batman the Animated Series episodes. Or Warner Bros. Stuff in general. Like, back in the day, I greatly enjoy the Bruce Timm-verse of the DC Comics cartoon adaptations, which means it's Batman the Animated Series, Superman the Animated Series, Batman Beyond, and Justice League Unlimited. And at least for Batman animated and Superman animated, TMS did a lot of episodes. You could in Superman you could always tell that when Lois Lane was wearing not her usual purple-white outfit, but her red and black outfit. For some reason, there was the color code the Japanese were going with. And those episodes always stuck out to me because they always looked so much better than all the other episodes that were done by Korean studios. And TMS did some fantastic stuff in those shows. And every time I rewatch those cartoons, which I do a lot because I love those shows. I'm like, this is a TMS episode. It's coming up. So there you go. TMS not only done good work in anime. So yeah, cool studio.
Cool. That I learned something new.
There you go.
So it was directed by Taro Iwasaki, who's done other things like apparently a couple episodes of Baki the Grappler.
Oh boy!
Wow, we're reaching way back for that.
That is an ugly show.
And if we're going more recent, 1 Week Friends.
Mm-hmm. I've heard about that one.
Yeah, that was something I had a vague interest in, but I just haven't checked out. And it's another show where we have 3 writers. We've got Keiichiro Ochi, who's worked on other shows like My Teen Rom-Com Snafu 2, and Mushi Bugyo, one of the lost and forgotten 7 Arcs shows from a few summers ago. Mm-hmm. Another one of those writers was Mitsutaka Hirota, who did some work on Persona 4 the animation. Oh, and Phantasy Star Online 2 the animation.
Oof.
Good. Good. And the last writer in the docket is Yoshimi Narita, who's done, looks like some work on Precure, as well as Beat the Vandal Buster.
Oh boy! Oh god! That's a holy shit!
that's another reach. We just keep reaching back.
Yeah, that's super weird. I haven't heard that title in ages. That was one of those, one of the very generic shonen anime that I watched for a lot of episodes for some reason because it reminded me of Dragon Ball a bit.
I remember having a passing interest in it, and I watched maybe like 2 episodes, and then I was kind of like, eh.
It was super meh, but yeah, high tolerance for crappy shonen stuff. Anyway, but yeah, okay. I mean, it's always a thing. In terms of adapting manga to anime. I mean, you haven't read the manga, I assume.
Mm-mm.
So I wonder how much they changed. If it just again copying every panel from the manga, just to anime forms. Like, how much work did they actually do? Did they rewrite the scripts? Did they change scenes and everything, or was it like copy pasted from the manga? It's interesting to to maybe look that up for some shows. We didn't do it for this one, but yeah, it's yeah.
I feel like that's something I'd like to do in the future, but I just don't make enough time to. Sorry to our listeners.
Yeah, maybe in the future we'll do so. Like I've talked about this before, how adapting manga is an art in itself. But yeah, apparently whatever they did a good job with it, because you didn't really have anything to complain about when it came to the writing.
Right.
Right.
Right. And a lot of the people that I talked with, like on Twitter and whatnot, while it was airing, everyone that I talked with very much seemed to enjoy it. So
there you go. Yeah, good job.
Yay. I feel like it's worth mentioning that the voice actress for Tsumugi is an actual young lady who's about 11 years old now, named Rina Endo. So, they got a child who is able to capture, the essence of being a little kid very well. And I think it made it more authentic that way.
Okay. Well, that can backfire for me.
Yeah, I could see why.
But that also depends on how the show is written and how the character is written. So I don't know. Apparently, she was a sympathetic character and relatable character. So yeah, if the voice work actually managed to enhance that by casting an actual kid, that's a good thing, I guess.
And then some of the other main cast, Kohei is voiced by Yuichi Nakamura. Mm-hmm. And Kotori is voiced by another one of our favorites, Saori Hayami. Mm-hmm. So we've got a big name main cast for the other characters, and we've got other supporting roles with Haruka Tomatsu, Tomokazu Seki, and Satomi Arai.
Thing I forgot to ask about earlier: do the stories mostly focus on those three characters, or do you have like side characters other side characters that appear in every episode?
You have side characters that do like kind of enter and exit frame as necessary, but yeah, it does focus most heavily on Kohei, Tsumugi, and Kotori.
So what did you most latch onto? Was it like the relationship between the father and the daughter, or was it like the cooking setup, or was it, I don't know, what kept you most engaged about the show?
I think just seeing Kohei try to do right by his daughter was what kept me going from beginning to end. And I really appreciated that aspect of it.
You wanted to see him succeed.
Right.
Because it's an admirable goal. So
I just want to see him, be a good papa, and that he felt good about himself in the process.
Yeah, and apparently the show succeeded in giving you that. So I'm probably not gonna watch the show. Not because it's oh god no dad kid cooking father no I don't care. Just in general, it's like, okay, maybe I like slice of life shows, but I need some kind of hook to it. Maybe if there's a mystery in it, or is it about a specific subject I'm interested in. This maybe sounds a bit of hypocrisy regarding because I'm gonna talk about another cooking show in like 2 episodes or something, like we mentioned before.
Yeah, but that one's less slice of life and much more shonen action.
Exactly. So there you go. That has another hook. And
if our listeners haven't gathered what the show is yet,
yeah, most of them probably have. But anyway, yeah, it's just like the setup in itself was not too interesting for me, and while I appreciate the show apparently trying to depict like the honest development of a relationship between father and daughter and everything, and keeping it close to reality, I'm not like super interested in seeing where that goes and seeing the drama that results from that, even though apparently the show did a good job of showing that and how it works, and not necessarily sugarcoating it and telling you, hey, if you just try, and if you just care for your daughter and cook good meals, everything will be all right. Apparently the show didn't do that, so I appreciate that. but that doesn't necessarily make me want to watch that. But yeah, it's just, you know, again, not in my field of interest. But I'm glad to hear that you enjoyed it, and a lot of other people did too. And yeah, apparently it's a cool, cute show. So who would you recommend the show to? That, you know, people that are not me.
I mean, if you're into a show that's about enforcing like family values and you want a little bit of cooking on the side, you know, maybe this is the sort of thing for you. Or if for all the single dads out there, maybe you might enjoy this. I don't know.
Okay, if we have any single dads among our listeners, there's a show for you. Check it out. And maybe, you know, for those who are not and are not as superficial as me, maybe check out. If you feel in the mood for something cute and something that I think gives you, for the most part, like a bit of a heartwarming experience. I guess check out Sweetness and Lightning. So our big joint review of this episode is gonna be about Macross Delta, the newest incarnation in the popular Macross franchise. And the story of the show is set on the planet Ragnar.
The Blood Edge?
Yeah, maybe. Maybe he created that planet. Who knows? Crossover system arcs. Arc systems. Anyway. And the planet Ragnar is located in a remote part of the Milky Way galaxy called the... I'll try to get this right. Risinger Globular Cluster. Okay.
Good enough.
Good enough. That's the subtitle of this whole show. Like,
Anime brain freeze. Good enough.
Good enough. Anyway, listeners, you will be the judge of that anyway. So the humanoid species in this cluster are threatened by the so-called VAR syndrome, a condition that seemingly at random, it's not so random as we will learn later, but still, at the beginning of the show, seemingly randomly turns people into thick-veined rage zombies. But there's a force that is able to at least fight back against this sickness, and that is the idol group called Valkyrie, which is German for Valkyrie. So whenever there is an outbreak of the VAR syndrome, they basically go to the affected areas and sing to the people while staging this giant pop musical show. And due to the special nature of their singing and the music, they are able to calm down the infected and cure them of the VAR affliction. During those dangerous missions, they are protected by the pilots of the Delta Squad and their space fighter planes, who are also called Valkyries or VFs. Is that Valkyrie fighters?
Variable fighter.
Variable fighters. Okay. That can also turn into robots, which makes them awesome as fuck. Anyway, one of our main protagonists, a young girl named Freya Vion from the planet Windermere, who wants nothing more in her life than to join Valkyrie, arrives on Ragnar as a stowaway and runs into our other main protagonist, Hayate Immermann. Soon after, there is a heavy VAR outbreak on Ragnar, and the planet is simultaneously attacked by elite soldiers from Freya's home planet. And Hayate protects Freya during the ensuing battle by jumping into an abandoned VF, and while doing that, he discovers he has quite a knack for piloting those things. Of course, one thing leads to another. Freya joins Valkyrie, and he becomes one of her sworn protectors. And yeah, together they have to fight the elite warriors of planet Windermere, which of course brings all kind of problems with it, since Freya is from there and she's conflicted and everything. And yeah, that's the story set up for Macross Delta. Like I said, newest entry in the long-running Macross franchise. There were a lot of shows there. I think
the last one before this one was Frontiers, and that was it was 8 years ago.
Yeah, but when did the first Macross show air on TV?
83.
Yeah. So this franchise is pretty damn old, long spanning over the years, and I think the first time I came in contact with it was through the movie Macross Do You Remember Love, which like blew my fucking mind when I saw it the first time. Stellar animation. It still holds up today. You can rewatch it. There's a Blu-ray version out, I think, and it looks fantastic. At least over here in Japan, it's out, and not. I think most of Macross. I don't know if there were exceptions. I think there were exceptions, right? Macross Plus made it over.
Plus is the one exception I can think of.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, but most of the Macross franchise didn't make it over because it was also made into part of a different franchise in the West, at least in the US. I don't know about Germany. We got Do You Remember Love and everything, so as an official release. So I think... yeah, but it was made part of the Robotech franchise, which was a combination of Macross and one other show, I believe, or two other shows.
Yeah, like two or three other ones.
I'm not super familiar with it because, like I said, Robotech was not something that happened over here. So I don't know if Harmony Gold has any hold over licensing over here in Europe, or if it's just concerned in the US. I don't know if we got any other of the Macross franchises as an official release over here, or could get it. So I don't know. But in the US, it's kind of problematic to there are not many official releases of Macross series. I don't know why Plus made it.
Yeah, I'm still not certain why either. But hey, at least we got one of the best ones over here.
So there you go. Yeah, definitely check that out if you want more Macross. But we're getting into the other Macross shows first. Let's talk about them later, maybe a bit more. Let's talk about Delta for now. So yeah, this is produced by Satellite, like Macross Frontier. And did they do other Macross shows?
I don't believe so. I think it was just this in Frontier.
So yeah, Satellite, I don't know. They are a bit of a mixed bag for me. They have done some really good work, but also some a bit more shoddy stuff. One of the worst shows I saw from them was Green, which was about this weird guy with a leopard mask. And that was a really weirdly directed show that got a hilariously bad dub. And check that out on YouTube. It's great. Yeah, that, I don't know, just in terms of animation, that was hokey. The Macross franchise, not so much. I remember Frontier looking pretty damn good. They also did Symphogear, which also looks pretty damn awesome. And yeah, Macross Delta, for the most part, looks pretty damn great as well. Show is directed by Kenji Yasuda, who has directed Arata the Legend, which I haven't seen. I've heard it in passing, but not much what it's about or anything. And he also did storyboards and was a storyboard artist and episode director for Symphogear, Full Metal Alchemist, and Wayne. So yeah, good shows. Good shows in that repertoire. Again, multiple writers on this show. 2 episodes were written by Tatsuto Higuchi. Hello, Cross Anje, my old friend, back again.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Your old friend, yes, indeed. But also The Grey Man Hello, which is a recent series, or yeah, a revival of an old series. Inazuma 11, which is the anime version of the Level 5 game franchise about soccer with a lot of crazy super moves. Yeah, I watched some of that anime. I enjoyed it, but it's really for small kids, so not super interesting. And Toradora is also among his writing credits, apparently.
That's another show that's on my list.
Yeah, it's
someday, man.
Sure. One episode was written by Ukyo Kodachi, who did the series composition for Chaos Dragon.
Oh no!
There is a trash fest.
Oh no!
But that I heard that was also, just in terms of so bad that it's good, a very enjoyable show.
I think we started. Did we start this show before Chaos Dragon?
Yeah, we did.
Because I had so many things to say about that. Oh my god. Let's move on.
All right. Maybe one day. Maybe we'll do like a Trash Stash special and put Chaos Dragon in there. You get Chaos Dragon, I get Cross Anje or Valvrave or something like that. We'll see.
Oh my god, we get Valvrave.
Sure. Let's do it. I don't know. If we ever have like a season where there are not that many shows to review, I don't see that happening anytime soon. But, in our very first season, we managed to do a JoJo special. So maybe we'll manage to do something like that just for trashy shows. Anyway, he's also apparently writing the Boruto manga, which I'm kind of... Kishimoto's not writing that? What?
Maybe he's like aiding with it or something. I'm not sure.
Maybe... Yeah, or maybe Kishimoto's just drawing for that. Who knows? Yeah. Weird little tidbit. But the bulk of the episodes were written by Toshizo Nemoto. Writing credits here, noticeable ones are Lock Horizon and Space Brothers. Two good shows, if I'm not mistaken. You watched Lock Horizon, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, and I've heard a lot of good things about Space Brothers, but I don't have any personal experience with it.
I started watching the show. I don't know why I dropped it. Maybe oversaturation's a lot of other shows, and that was the one I dropped for some reason or another. But yeah, I also heard a lot of good shows about a lot of good things about that show. And so yeah. It's good that, probably good that he wrote the most episodes. Just in terms of credits of shows. Who knows?
It looks like Higuchi and Nemoto also both did work on Fibrain as well.
All right. I never watched Firebrain, but I heard it's like this crazy...
I watched the whole thing.
Well, was it enjoyable?
It was actually a fun show.
Okay, John, why don't you tell us who did the music for the show?
I've got music by, again, it was a 3-person job. That seems to be a theme with this particular episode of this podcast. We've got work by Mina Kubota, who's done work on a lot of the Aria series, and Kaleido Star, both shows that I, again, have a very cursory knowledge of. I do have a friend who is super into Aria, but it's one of those slice of life shows that felt even too slow for me, and I like slice of life shows. So, if that's your thing, man.
Sure.
Next up on the docket is Sayako Suzuki, who did the music for Lagrange, The Flowers of Rene, and the music for a few of the Keroro Gunso movies.
Oh boy. Okay.
That was... Oh, and the series proper as well, excuse me. That was a show that I watched actually for a long while, and then I just kind of fell out of it for whatever reason. I
never watched Sergeant Frog. I don't know.
I got on the level with it because Keroro loves building Gunpla as much as I do.
Yeah, right. That was the hook. Right, now I remember.
Very much. Let's invade the Earth. Oh, Gunpla. That was pretty much his character drilled down.
If there was a new season of that, he would probably be addicted to Gundam build fighters.
Oh, dude, there's opportunities for cross promotion there.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, do a crossover between Sergeant Frog and Gundam build fighters. I actually maybe watch that because it sounds ludicrous enough. Yeah, sure thing. So who's the third one?
The last composer is someone by the name of Tomi Shiro. Again, sounds like a pseudonym, that's for certain. Looks like their big claim to fame was working on the soundtrack for Lagrange as well.
It's important to highlight the music in the show because it's kind of a good starting off point for discussion since music is very important in Macross. In Macross. The story setup is making that pretty clear. but this needs to be emphasized. Macross is about ladies beating the enemy with their incredibly powerful love songs. And if that sounds already way too cheesy for you, maybe stay away. Though, in my opinion, and I think in yours as well, John, you, dear listener, would be missing out. So, yeah.
Definitely.
Anyway, I loved how the concept of the songs were integrated into the show this time around.
A lot more heavily than the past.
Yes, the previous incarnations of Macross I have watched had female protagonists mostly stay like behind the lines and bewitch the enemy forces with their singing, while the soldiers in the VFs battle it out in crazy space dogfights. And this time it's more dynamic because Valkyrie is usually not taking a back seat on the action. They're getting right into the thick of it together with the pilots, and that makes it feel more like Symphogear.
It feels more progressive for this franchise, and I like that.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not like they're going around like in Symphogear and punching the opponents in their robots like with their fists or something. But like they're in the action. They're helping people on the ground. They're defending themselves with weird like robotic gadgets and everything, and so they're in the action, and that makes like the battles more interesting. There are higher stakes, and they're more integral to not only the the plot of the show, but also to the action, and that, I don't know, just feels more organic and more complete that way. So I like that they did that. Mm-hmm. And makes it more interesting in my opinion. And of course, just gives the combination of the physical and vocal battles gives everything a bit more punch. It's I like it. It helps that the songs are also pretty damn good pop songs, in my opinion, that emphasize the emotional component of the battles and work well as a soundtrack to the action. I think we both fawned in the last, not the last sneak peek, but the one before that, about Ikenai Borderline, the song that is like introduced in the first episode, in the big fight scene in the first episode, which is still probably my favorite. There are a lot of other good ones in the show, but I think that was the one that made me definitely keep watching the show.
Yeah, that's the one that got everyone on the hook, for certain.
Yeah, they had a good reason putting that in the first episode. And yeah, like I said, it's got two great openings, great endings, ending themes too, and there are a lot of in-between songs sung by the respective characters that are in the show, and it always works well. I also like that it doesn't always feel like playback, because you really know when they really show you when certain characters are singing the song, and when it matters who is singing that song. Sometimes different characters sing the same song in different situations and take the vocal lead on that, and it always matters when they do. And you hear when they're a bit out of tune because they're strained, or there's a fight going on, or they're hurt or something. So it feels more real. It feels like, oh, they're really there and singing, and not like this is not playback or anything.
Right.
So yeah, that's cool. So they put a lot of thought into that, and makes it more intense. The look of the show is also pretty damn awesome. There are a lot of colorful alien characters and environments. The VFs are CG, but the movement is pretty fluid. I was surprised by that.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the the VFs and the ships in Frontier were CG as well, and they managed to make it seem or feel, mostly seamless and pretty well done. So
it gets a bit choppy and hokey when they move slowly, slowly, like I don't know. Landing or moving up from the ground or making slow movements, and when they are in robot form or something. But when they are jets, everything looks pretty cool, and there's fast camera movement, and there's a lot of missiles fired at the same time, and a lot of, like I said, a lot of camera movement. So the dogfights in this show are pretty exciting, as you would expect from a Macross show.
Yeah, I mean, there's two things I was looking for in Macross: the music and the dogfights. If you don't have those two things, why bother?
I mean, the fights in this show are still not as good as the main confrontation in Macross Plus.
Oh yeah, I still hold it.
That's
Macross.
a very high.
Yeah, I still hold it Macross Plus as the greatest dogfights I've seen in any piece of animation.
Yeah, and it's an incredibly high bar, so you don't have to live up to that standard. And of course, it doesn't. Also, they don't look as good as Do You Remember Love? But that was a fucking movies from the 80s, like great design, super great design work. And Macross Delta still operates on a TV show level, so.
But it's still it manages to work with what it's got very well. So
yeah. Great fight scene, great action scenes. Some of the musical performances by Valkyria have this giant stage setup with a big light show and everything, lots of effects. It's really fun to look at. It's really colorful, vibrant. So great stuff, great design work. The animation quality itself drops here and there a bit. You get a few off-model characters here and there, and a bit of like limited animation in certain parts. When there's not that much action going around or something. But when it's important, it shines. Mm-hmm. The characters are pretty neat too. Hayate is a bit brash at times, but he's a good guy.
He's very. I don't want to say honest is the right word. He's very straightforward in what he has to say, and he will say it.
Yeah. I mean, that's also a trait that you can admire, right? It's not always, like, diplomatical, but he doesn't really care about that. Like, he has to speak his mind. Also, if it's, maybe not the most clever thing to say, but you can always see where he's coming from, and that makes him relatable. That makes him a cool character, and his heart is in the right place, definitely.
Yes, he starts off a bit brash, but we sort of start to get to know him, and I feel like he becomes, like you said, a lot more relatable as time goes on.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, part of that is that in the beginning, he doesn't really know what he wants to do, where he wants to go. He's working at this...
some sort of a shipping company, I'd say.
Yeah, a shipping company, moving crates around and everything, which is not really what he wants to do. And when he finds his passion in piloting a VF, he wants first do things his way, and that doesn't really work out that much. So he has to learn a lot of stuff, and is a bit reluctant to take advice in the beginning, and actually listen to people. But he gets around. So yeah, there's an arc there, and it's understandable, it's cool, and there's this series has some important emotional stuff in store for him and other characters. So yeah, there's a lot to work with this character in regards to that. The other main protagonist, or one of them, Freya, is adorable. Like, I really liked her, and especially her laugh. I don't know why Hayate calls it creepy. I really don't know.
She's very earnest.
Yeah, it's a cute laugh. So I don't know what they mean by creepy. Anyway, yeah, she's earnest. She's straightforward. Bit single-minded. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't want to say she's like simple-minded or a bit dumb. I mean, she's supposed to be a bit naive, at least in the beginning. Her only goal is like, hey, I want to join Valkyrie, and I want to sing for love and peace, and want to make everyone feel better and everything. And those are good goals. Like, I mean, that's an admirable attitude, but it's still like she doesn't really grasp the realities of the world yet. She seems a bit sheltered, even though she shouldn't be. But yeah, that's how she starts out. It changes a bit later on, but yeah, she's a bit childish in the beginning, maybe. But still, heart is in the right place. She's relatable and very sympathetic. And then there's Mirage. Hayate's superior officer. And she's pretty strict in the beginning, but also, again, relatable. She's an interesting character background. She's actually the granddaughter of two of the characters from the original Macross and Macross Do You Remember Love. She's the daughter of Maximilian Janus and Milia Felina Janus, which, like I said, were characters from the original Macross. Her mother is, a Zentradi, which is the main antagonistic force in the original Macross. So she's an alien. Originally, she's like this giant-sized, super tall alien, and later the Zentradi shrink themselves down.
Yeah, they basically develop technology that allows them to, as they call it, micronize.
Yeah, and live together with humans. And yeah, she was, I think she was the first one, and also the first one that actually, got to have a baby. I think the Zentradi before that only reproduced themselves by cloning themselves. And yeah, she was the one. She had a baby with Maximilian, and there was like a big shifting point in the a big plot point in the original Macross. And yeah, that was one of her kids. She had 7 apparently. Holy shit! Well, if you don't have any other other hobbies, lady. Anyway, yeah, one of her kids apparently had Mirage as her daughter. So there's this. That's like a neat connection. I didn't know when I watched when I started watching Macross Frontier, and I only watched a few episodes. I was still under the impression that the Macross series were only loosely connected, but apparently they're like. With Macross Delta was the first one where I really realized, like, oh shit, this is all connected. This is all set in one straightforward timeline. Mm-hmm. I was like super surprised by that. I was like, holy shit, okay. I didn't know that because there are several. There's I wouldn't call it like super fan servicey, but there are a lot of callbacks to the other Macross. So there's, like I said, original Macross. There's Macross 7, I think. Mm-hmm. Macross Plus is also mentioned, if I'm not mistaken. Frontier, of course, because that's the one closest to Delta.
Yeah, there was one episode in Delta where they were like, hey, do you remember the original? Do you remember 7? Do you remember Plus? Do you remember Frontier? We got you. We got you, fam.
Was Zero mentioned?
I don't believe so.
I wonder if that is like the red-headed stepchild of the franchise and nobody liked it. So I remember liking it when I watched it, so I don't know.
It's weird. It might be. Oops.
But yeah, I found that pretty neat. That was like kind of a revelation for me. But if you followed the franchise more closely than I did, like I said, I've only watched a few Macross shows. You maybe probably already knew that, but still was a nice thing when watching the show. It's like, oh shit, I know these characters. Okay, that's interesting. But yeah, that's Mirage, and the crew of the idol group of Valkyrie is also cool. Well, they are basically your standard moe trope types. There's no way to talk around it. You got the reticent introvert hacker girl Reyna, this very one-syllable girl, only saying like one word a lot of times to react to things. And you got her best friend, the busty, outgoing mechanic Machina, who gives everyone stupid nicknames, which I wasn't a fan of.
Aww.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was like, Free, Kumo. Shut up. Shut up, Mach. Just use the real names. What is this even? I don't know. It got a bit on my nerves, but yeah.
I don't know. I thought it was an endearing character trait.
Sure, that's cool.
Because she just wants to be friends with everyone.
Yeah, but yeah, it's like, why? Anyway, all right. There was just a small nitpick from me. And then you got the strong-willed heart of the group, which is Kaname, and she was also the previous leader of it. And then you have the current leader, the aloof Mikumo, who comes across as a bit cold in the beginning, but there's a reason for that, which we learn about later in the story, so it works. Just in general, the story, how it's structured and paced and everything is pretty damn good in my opinion. It's nothing like super complicated or anything, or I don't know, super deep, or has like this really surprising arc. I wouldn't say it's super predictable, but you have seen stuff like that before, especially if you watched Macross before. It's not super special, but each important character gets a spotlight episode and is developed to a certain extent, that makes the character relatable. The antagonists, while not necessarily sympathetic, are not one-sidedly evil either. You understand where they're coming from. You even understand why the final villain does what he does. He's more misguided than evil, in my opinion. So yeah, there are no real pacing issues. There are some nice twists and turns, and the story wraps up pretty nicely. Although I could have done with a longer finale, in my opinion, and an epilogue episode. It all ends rather abruptly, in my opinion.
Yeah, it feels like they could have detailed the aftermath a little bit more. But, who knows? Maybe there might be an OVA episode or like something to follow after.
I mean, Frontier got like 2 compilation movies, which were apparently in certain parts an improvement on the show.
I still haven't watched those.
Me neither. I want to watch them, especially because I didn't watch Frontier all the way through, and I heard mixed things about it. I heard the final episode is supposed to be really good, but there are a lot of like dead air in certain parts of the series also, I've heard.
What's funny is this past December, I actually sat down and rewatched all of Frontier because I was so hyped for Delta that I was like, I got to do something. I know it's been 8 years, so I'll rewatch Frontier.
Well, while we're on the topic of Frontier, then, which is the better show in your opinion? Which one did you enjoy more? And if you can say why.
I kind of feel like as much as I, at the time and even now, enjoyed Frontier, I feel like Delta was the next logical step, and, it really felt like it was a step above in terms of production.
Okay. And if I'm not mistaken, Frontier doesn't, have the super actiony approach to the singing thing yet.
No.
And it's more classic. How was the love triangle in Frontier set up? Because what I liked about Macross Delta is that the love triangle, which is, in a lot of Macross shows, you got this one male pilot and the 2, female idol singers, and they're kind of pining for him. And I feel like in Macross Delta it wasn't overplayed. It's in there, but it's not really played for drama. It makes like Mirage's character come across a bit underwritten at times, because it occasionally appears like she's just in the show to be part of the love triangle without a real arc for herself. But, still a cool character. And like I said, it's not like, doesn't feel like overly forced drama. It feels pretty natural how it develops in the show. And it's not the centerpiece until maybe the very end. And I quite enjoyed it. How was Frontier in that regard?
Well, I mean, the love triangle has element of Macross has kind of changed a few times with the course's history. Because, I mean, back in the beginning with the original series, it was, it was the idol and one of the bridge bunnies. In Frontier, they were both idols. And in this one, one's an idol and the other's an actual pilot. So, they've at least, tried to change it as time has gone on. So it's not, oh, what a copy-paste job sort of thing,
Yeah, sure, but it was still the kind of same setup, because you got always that male protagonist and the 2 girls, and I wonder how was it like comparatively? How was it handled in Frontier? Was it like, was there forced drama in there? Was the focus somewhere else? Did it take center stage there?
It was a lot more. It pushed more to the forefront, I feel like, in Frontier, because I mean. Even through one of the the first intro song for Frontier, Triangular. One of the lyrics is, who will you kiss, me or this other girl? And,
Okay.
from the get-go, it's like, all right, okay, we get it.
Yeah, okay.
Whereas here, it seems it's there, but it feels like it's downplayed ever so slightly.
Yeah. Like I said, I mean, of course, there are the occasional moments where, you got Freya and Hayate talking about something, and Mirage is in the background and listening to them. It's like, blushing and not, coming out because she doesn't want to interrupt them and feels like they're having a moment and is kind of jealous. And you got it the other way around. But it's not like there's like, okay, now these two characters are gonna fight over Hayate or something, or they're gonna be, mad at each other, or something like that. That pretty much never happens.
Yeah, it feels like they sort of have an unspoken understanding with each other.
I really enjoyed it that they didn't try to make that like a major plot point and let it just develop kind of naturally, in my opinion. I think it worked really well in Macross. And wasn't overbearing or anything. So yeah, I appreciated that quite a lot, because I'm not a fan of forced love drama.
Well then, you should never watch Golden Time.
I probably won't. Anyway, I also like there is this underlying melancholy in the series. The Windermerians only live 30 years. Which makes Freya a 40 to 50-year-old lady in human years, if you think about it. Which gives the series and the relationship there in a whole different connotation.
Yeah, and they never act. It seems like that they never outwardly talk about it, but it's there, and it's enough there to be like, hey, remember this. Don't forget this.
Exactly. I had about to think about it several times, and the show doesn't gloss over the fact that half of her life is already over. Like, she talks about it several times. So it's like, hey, I am at the turning point of my life. I have to decide what I want to do next, because, half of it is over. And I like that.
Can you imagine that, having a midlife crisis when you're 15 years old?
Yeah, it's oof. The ending is also, like, bittersweet. And that makes the emotional conclusion feel a bit more substantial, in my opinion, than it was, if it was just a kind of cheesy love conquers all theme that dominates a lot of the show. So yeah, I really like that. I like that it had like this melancholic undertone, and I don't know, it made me feel sorry for a lot of the characters, and it also like it doesn't only play into Freya's motivation and character arc, it also plays into the motivation and character building of the antagonists, of some of the Knights of Windermere, and partially even in the reasoning of the main villain for what he does. So yeah, that's cool. I enjoyed it quite a lot. You want to talk about the voice cast for this show?
Yeah, sure. They kind of did the same thing that they did with Frontier, where the main girl, in this case Freya, is new to the voice acting industry. She's in Frontier, Ronka Lee, at the time Megumi Nakajima, was new to the scene, and now she's gone on to do all manner of things. But Freya's voice actress Minori Suzuki, this is her very first role, and I feel like she nailed it.
Oh yeah, I enjoyed that. Just like with Symphony Gear, she like her voice has a very different texture than the other characters who are singing in that show. It feels more, I don't know, more jumpy, a bit more rough in certain parts, but very energetic. So yeah, that works really well. And same goes for her character voice. Like, she's very pumped up. The Windermerians have these runes, which are part of the hair. Think of the Na'vi from Avatar, maybe. It's like a manifestation of their emotions, and it's also like I don't know if it symbolizes their life force or something like that. But yeah.
I got the impression that it had to do with like their emotional state or something.
Yeah, definitely. That definitely. And she always, like, when she is super hyped up, like her rune just pops up. It's the shape of a heart naturally, and starts glowing. And she likes to use a lot of words for I don't know what's the Japanese term is, but when you use the words that a certain object makes or something like that.
Oh, onomatopoeia.
Onomatopoeia, yeah, she uses those a lot to describe her emotional state. So yeah, she's that kind of girl, and I don't know, worked really well. The voice actress did a really good job with bringing that character to life, and in her specific character traits. Really worked really well with that voice.
Another casting parallel that they runs with Frontier is that in Frontier, Cheryl's main voice actress is Aya Endo, but her singing voice is Main, which is something they kind of kept with in Delta, where Mikumo's speaking voice is Ami Koshimizu, but her singing voice is someone named Juna, who I've never heard of before. I wasn't able to really dig up much information, but
all I can say is she has a fantastic voice.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And a lot of range. There's like these really the parts in the songs where she like gets a really deep and booming voice. And yeah, that's cool. Definitely great stuff.
Oh, well, excuse me. I just turned up this. Apparently, Juna is also very new to the scene. She's only 15 years old.
What the fuck?
And listen to that voice, man.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who else we have on the cast? Hayase is voiced by Yuma Uchida, who's he's been in several things. Probably the one big thing that I know him from is Gundam Build Fighters Try as Yuma. But he's also been a Sonic Speed Monkey in Blood Blockade Battlefront.
Well, that sure was a big voice role.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, Sonic doesn't say a single word, so there you go.
He just kind of
yeah,
the whole way through.
Wow. Well, everyone has to start small.
That's true.
So, yeah.
But yeah, then we've got other didn't talk about Mirage. Her voice actress is Asami Seto. She's where do I begin? She was the black-haired woman in Death Billiards and Death Parade. As well as Miyoko in Food Wars, and a whole bunch of other characters along the way.
I've heard her several times over the last years, so definitely in those two shows.
Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. Shoko Sashinami, Valvrave the Liberator.
Oh, Jesus. Well, definitely heard of that too.
Yeah. But yeah, right. And we've got a whole bunch of other big names on the cast. We talked before about Keiji Fujiwara, who's the voice of Burger Stone, but we talked about him before because he was taking some time off because of illness.
Yeah.
And we've got one of my favorites, Unsho Ishizuka as Ernest Johnson. And I love him. I love him so much. It's because he's got that very rough, gravelly voice, but he's very versatile at the same time.
Yeah, he doesn't get to go as crazy in this one as he gets with Joseph.
Yeah.
But it's still a cool character because he plays like this gruff Zentradi captain dude who's like really big and really burly. And yeah, he's a cool dude in the show. So there you go. He gets to play a badass.
Yeah, he's
badass green man.
He still gets to be very coy because there's situations where Johnson has to withhold certain details from the characters.
Exactly.
Yeah, so you've got a great cast of characters and voice actors and actresses. So
Yeah, it's a pretty big cast. I mean, the focus, of course, is on the terrific threesome there. Actually, we got a lot of threesomes in this show. Like, 3 writers everywhere. Here, 3 shows and 3 and a love triangle here. So anyway, yeah. Apparently, this is a
maybe it's a sign.
Yeah, we'll let the listeners figure out for what. I have no idea, honestly. Anyway, but yeah, like you said, great cast, great characters, lot of sympathetic ones, a lot of relatable ones, and yeah, I enjoyed the show quite a lot.
This show definitely scratched the itch for me because it's, like I said, it's been 8 years since the last Macross, but it's also a series that's not oversaturated, or a franchise that's not oversaturated. So I feel like it was the right time.
Yeah, definitely. When I first heard about it, I was really looking forward to it. Even though I didn't finish Frontiers, like, oh, cool, new Macross, always worth checking out. And I'm really glad that I stayed with it. And this time around, it wasn't much of a problem because I latched on to pretty much all of the characters right from the get-go. So, and the story setup was cool, and the animation is cool. We're probably never going to get a Western release of that show, or, well, the US is probably not going to get it.
Yeah.
Because LOL Harmony Gold. But apparently the Japanese Blu-ray has English subtitles, so if you are rich, you can import that.
If you don't want to bleed yourself quite that dry, the DVDs have them as well, apparently.
So there you go. But yeah, if you are in the mood for a big space opera with good-looking battles and a lot of singing, seriously, if you can't stand J-pop, don't even try, because they're singing pretty much every episode. But if you can deal with that and the inherently cheesy setup, give it a try. Very much so. It's a cool sci-fi action show with cool characters, a good story. Not sure if it's my favorite Macross thing. I'd still give that title to You. You Remember Love, I think.
I would still probably go with plus, but this is high on the list.
Yeah, for me, it's a close second, I think. Pretty sure. I would maybe rank across over Macross Plus. While I enjoyed the animation and the final fight in that show, I didn't like the characters that much. I mean, maybe they're not supposed to be likable. The main characters are both kind of assholes in that show. Cool assholes, kind of, like badasses, but still assholes. But yeah, I don't know. Just from character standpoint, I enjoyed Macross Delta more, even though Macross Plus looked better. But yeah, definitely high on the list of Macross franchise things. And I hope the next one will be just as good. And maybe one day we'll get a good Macross game out of this.
I mean, there's a Scramble coming out at some point. Maybe that'll be good.
I haven't seen anything for that. I don't know, and I don't have high hopes because the previous ones I checked out were not that good. So,
did you play Robotech Battle Cry? Because that one was actually pretty sweet, I thought, anyway.
I think not. I think I didn't. Maybe I will again.
Anyway, before we conclude, I have an important question for you.
Yes.
And this is a question that I'm not going to be able to answer myself because I don't have a singular answer. But I'm going to throw it at you anyway before I say mine. What was your favorite song?
Oh, shit. Well, I think it's still Ikenai Borderline, though I really like the first opening too. I forgot the name of that, obviously.
If I Only Love Once.
Yeah, probably. There's so many great songs in this, and it all comes down to the corresponding scenes. I'd have to review all of them, rewatch them with the corresponding scenes that they appear first in to make a final judgment. But the first time Ikenai Borderline plays and the scene that it's in, it's so well paced. It works so well together. I think that's still my favorite. Just like in terms of how they combined the music with the with what was shown on screen, worked so well. was so well directed and so well staged. So I'd say Ikinai Borderline. Maybe not just from a music standpoint, my favorite song, but just how it worked in the show. Probably my favorite. Although the first and second opening and how they were used in the final battle are pretty close to that as well. But yeah, I still say Ikinai Borderline. But how about you?
Yeah, before I get to that though, but yeah, the big giant essentially medley they had at the end was really cool too.
Yeah, definitely.
I can't pick just one is the problem. I really liked Absolute Zero Nova-esque, also, which is the second intro.
Yes.
Again, Ikinai Borderline is on that list. I really liked Axia a lot too, because the scene that if you first hear it just matches it so well, and it's so good.
Yeah, definitely.
And I also really like the second ending theme. I think it was Ruinous Pure Heart.
Oh yeah, that's cool. And yeah, that's a neat song to get let out of the episode by. And the course and the animation where the VF is just flying through space. It's just cool visual. And if you can take anything away from this review, there are a lot of cool songs in the show. There's a lot of cool music in the show, and if you like cool music and cool J-pop stuff and everything, and when it's really worked really well into a show. This is one of those examples where the show is all about that, and you notice that, and you can feel it, and you can see it. Most importantly, you can hear it. Definitely. if you like anime with good cool music parts, definitely check out Macross Delta. It's worth it in my opinion.
Definitely.
And that is a wrap on the 18th episode of Anime Brain Freeze. All the music in our show is from the Double Dragon Neon soundtrack by the amazing Jake Kaufman. Please go to vrt.bandcamp.com and check out his awesome work. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and animebrainfreeze.com. Leave us comments and questions anywhere you like, or send us an email to animebrainfreeze@gmail.com. Thanks for tuning in. We hope you had a good time, and please join us again on our next show. Macht's gut!
See yous. Zikai no Anime Brain Freeze.
Low budget justice!
Hope and despair.
And the return of the disciples of innocence and destruction.
Your true nature